Well, hello, good night, good night, good night. How are you folks doing? Are you all right? We're here again for another episode of Advancing the Cause. Good night to all of you. And let me say that it's always a pleasure being here with you. But you know what? We're going to take another 2 minutes or so to ensure we get a little technical issues we were experiencing. We're going to get that right. In the meantime, just call up your friends, call up your neighbors, call up everyone. Let them know that advancing the cause is on. Just let them know that while we're getting these issues sorted out. Well, good night again to you. I'm sure we're ready this time for you. You know, they always do these things. Every time we are ready to go on our program, it's always something coming from them. Always something coming from them. But we're not going to allow, the PPP and the others to cause us not to do what we have to do. We are going to go on our program anyhow. Tonight, we are looking at signs of the times are everywhere. Signs of the times are everywhere. And you know what that is saying to us? That a couple of people getting scared. A government is scared. They're scared of one person, they're scared of two persons, they're scared of the opposition. And so we've got to allow them to get even more scared, to be even more scared. You know why? Because they have recognized that they've not been doing right by the people. And we're going to continue to sound that alarm bell. We're going to continue to sound that alarm bell. With me tonight is my co host, Dr. Mark Devonish. He's no stranger to this program. And so we're going to bring him right on. We're going to be sharing the platform here. Mark, good night again to you. And how are you
Good night.
tonight?
I'm perfectly well.
I know it's way out in the morning for you, but you make that sacrifice to ensure that you're here so that our people could know what's happening. They can be made aware of much more of what the PPP are doing. You know, tonight we want to talk about, we want our people to understand that the signs of the times are everywhere. Mark, if we talk about corruption, but before we go there, we want to say good night to all of you again. Good night and happy birthday to quite a lot of our folks who have celebrated birthdays during this week. We want to say happy birthday to you, and we trust that God is going to continue to bless you. And of course, on that same note, we want to extend our condolences to so many of our friends who have lost loved ones during this week and last week, especially to our teacher Serena, her family, the family of teacher Serena Wiggins, sorry, and the family members of the fireman who lost his life in the line of duty. I know it's hard for his mother, her only child, and we want to send you lots and lots of love. And to all those who've lost loved ones, we want to extend to you our heartfelt condolences. We pray God is going to grant you the comfort you need even at this time. But you know, much more than that, Mark, as we go on through this program, our viewers will recognize some of what we're talking about. But we want to hit on a little note here. This cash transfer, this $100,000 that Barrett jagged you, and all of them making a big fuss about. I mean, this thing has caused more confusion than we would ever think. Here it is, we have a 70 plus year old elderly woman living all the way out there in Unity. She would have registered in at the Unity Health Center. But up to now, this woman can't receive her check. And every time it's come back, check again, call this number, oh, come tomorrow, come next week. Every time this is what she's getting. And now they're saying to her, well, look, go to the NDC office at Mahaika and see if your check is there. I mean, is that the way, Mark, you tell us, is that the way we treat our elderly folks in this country? That's the amount of love we have for them. Is that how much we care for the elderly in this country?
I think it was Albert Einstein who said a society is judged based on how they treat their weakest, how they treat the elderly, how they treat the very young.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to judge Guyana based on how we treating our elderly, if we to judge PPP based on how they're treating the elderly, we'll have to give them a fail mark. Because it's totally unbelievable in this 21st century in terms of technology and banking that I have available. Those pensioners who are collecting their pensions, why can't they not collect their 100,000 at the same time?
You know,
Why can't they not transfer the 100,000 into their bank account? How could you tell a something-year-old man or something-year-old woman, how could you tell them to go and join a long line and stand there for hours? How you expect them to actually survive it? So as I said before, a society is judged based on how it treats its weak, and we have to give people a fair mark for that, definitely. This cash grant has been going on for over 6 months. Over 6 months this cash grant has been going on. You would think they would have recognized areas that they're not doing too well in and areas that are doing well in. The areas that are not doing too well in, they'll have to adapt and remedy those areas basically. But it appears that they're not learning anything. They're just going through the process, making mistakes all the time. We're not learning from the mistakes, and the mistakes just continue to repeat itself. It's totally unbelievable that after 6 months, they they can't distribute 500 checks. It's totally unbelievable.
But Mark, the thing is, they can't deliver the checks in a timely manner, but they want to run a whole country. Huh? They want to run a whole country. And so you would give them a fail mark, but I would give them A for atrocious. That's the mark I would give to them. And I mean, these people, they have no shame about what they do, no shame whatsoever about what they do. We have issues in every single sector. If we were to talk about GECOM, I think they should take that name tag off of that building, and they should abolish that commission. Because what? They are more corrupt than even the people who created the corruption, the PPP. When we look at the manner with which the chairman is operating, when we look at the manner with which the CEO is operating, when we look at the manner with which the legal officer, operator, you're gonna put that video up for us there. You're gonna put up that post there for us, where we saw the legal officer according to law, and he is somewhat upright, and he wants to maintain his integrity, yeah? And so he spoke about the process as it relates to law. The next day, the CEO came there, and what did he do? I mean, and these people want us to believe that they can hold free, fair, and credible elections in this country when everything the PPP say, Claudette's saying yes to. I don't know, Mark. You tell me.
Well, Jacob is a complete chaos president. We see it. We see only the other day there was this misunderstanding, this massive public misunderstanding between the CEO of GECOM and the legal officer, in which the CEO has overstepped his mark. Basically, the CEO is telling is giving a legal officer legal instructions. You cannot give a legal officer legal instructions. You could give a legal officer instructions based on facts, but you cannot give him legal instructions. I'm a doctor, for example. Patients can't come to me and tell me, well, I want my arm amputated and I have to go and amputate the arm. I would tell them the pros and cons. I will give them the advice because I'm the doctor, and I would be totally cognizant of the risk involved. But he thinks that he's a lawyer, and he opened up himself there to be embarrassed and insulted because the legal officer for GECOM called him a bedroom lawyer, not a courtroom lawyer, a bedroom lawyer. And he said he wouldn't allow himself to be embarrassed and humiliated by a bedroom lawyer and people who get their degrees online under questionable circumstances. But then what the legal officer is saying actually makes sense. It makes absolutely sense. You have two elections, which actually occurs as one. You have the general election, you have the regional election. For the regional election, you have to have place of address. For the general election, you don't have to have place of address. So it's obvious the ballots have to be different. It's obvious the list of electors have to be different. And that's what the legal officer is arguing, because he's a legal man. I wouldn't argue with him on his legal issues. But this CEO now, totally clueless, totally out of the control of PPP, a creature of the PPP, Claudette Singh is a creature of the PPP, and all of them are creatures of PPP. Can't control himself. Throw this out there, some press release that has no value whatsoever. It wasn't making any sense whatsoever. All it did is highlighted his ignorance and highlighted the fact that he's just completely foolish, because it cannot be the fact is the statement that he placed out there cannot be accepted into the courts, cannot be admitted into the courts. So what's the purpose of it? But he's just completely clueless. He's out of his depth, basically. They're all out of their depth. But GECOM is just, if ever there was any question as to whether GECOM is in a fit state to conduct an election, we just had to look at what happened last week, Friday.
And that has confirmed it. That has confirmed that we cannot take anything coming from Claudette. We cannot take anything coming from the CEO, because they are not credible. They're not credible. Look them sitting there. I mean, what can we take? I mean, A lot of folks had respect for Claudette like me, but I have none now. The fact that Claudette could tell us here that them having Asha Kissoon sitting in Parliament was a mistake. Then the whole recount and the announcement coming out of the recount, it can be concluded that that was a mistake too. Because I remember right there, I was there when Claudette said one morning, those ballots without the required documentation, statutory documentation, will not be counted. And then the next day, the woman turned up to say all ballots are going to be counted. Now, in that recount, did I recount order? There were 6 steps. All they did was comply with 2. 2 they complied with. And then Claudette wants to tell us now in 2025 that she is credible to sit at GECOM and to have us run with elections without a new voters list and biometrics. Claudette got to be smoking some kind of cheap weed. Claudette got to be smoking some kind of cheap weed. I don't know which one Barra Jagdeo gave her. I wonder if she went to Babu John on Sunday.
I won't be surprised if she was at Babu John. Look what. In recognized societies, in civilized societies, when things go wrong, you have accountability. If, for example, Asha Kissoon was taken into Parliament and it was a mistake of GECOM, you'd expect some accountability to actually happen there. You'd expect Claudette to say, well, look what, I'm the head of this ship, I'm the captain of this ship, the mistake was made on my watch, I resign. No, she hasn't resigned.
Nope.
She has not resigned. And that's a black stain. Every day Asha Kissoon goes to court is a reminder of the incompetence of GECOM. And it took the very legal officer, Court De Silva or Bernard De Silva, some De Silva. It took the legal officer to identify that mistake. So what was Claudette doing all this time? She's a retired judge. She could not have seen that. But then she's so completely taken up by PPP agenda that she can't see anything else. And Asha Kissoon is PPP agenda. It's definitely PPP agenda. But it's just sad when you actually look at these 3 here, the 3 stooges. They're just completely clueless. And no, people wouldn't have no confidence in them. How could you have a voters list that has 731,000, where 91% of the population are eligible to vote? We know that's wrong because the population of our school kids is 200,000. Population of school kids 200,000. So those numbers cannot add up. And it is only a recipe for disaster. But they can't seem to understand that simple fact. I think they understand the fact, but they're trying to convince themselves that it wouldn't be used for corruption, and trying to convince us that it won't be used for corruption, when we are pretty much aware of the fact that it will, because we saw what happened in those ballot boxes during the recount. We had 47 boxes without the statutory documents. We had boxes with didn't have the necessary documents inside. We had boxes with extra documents, and we had loads and loads of electoral irregularities.
Yes.
All those things are points towards the fact that you need a clean voters list and you need biometrics.
You know, I am going to make the call on Mia Mortley and Ralph Gonzalez and all of the others, because CARICOM wrote and they made their recommendations. I'm going to ask them to invoke those recommendations again, because they recommended, they highlighted all of what we saw in the recount. And Claudette Singh has decided that she will hold on to the PPP and they will do absolutely nothing. And so after 5 years, Claudette Singh is coming to tell us now that it's too late. The time is too short. Well, here, Auntie Claudette, we are prepared. The people of Guyana, they are prepared to have the elections pushed back to a later date so that we can accommodate biometrics, and a clean voters list. Get it right. In Ghana, 16 million persons, and they were able to get that in 6 weeks. 16 million persons. We in got a million here. So you can get it right, Auntie Claudette. You and the whole pack of y'all at GECOM, y'all can get it right. Because if you think that it can go down so this time, you better think again. And I'm just simply repeating some of what Barajagio said when he was the opposition leader. If they think it will be all well and good, you better think again. We're not accepting that. This time is not long time. And I want you to remember, the signs of the times are everywhere. The writing is on the wall, Auntie Claudette. You better see it. You better be able to read it. If you can't read it, look for a Danielle to come and read it for you. Mark, we talk about GECOM. And when we talk about GECOM, corruption is ripe. Corruption comes to mind as soon as we talk about GECOM. We have seen so many corrupt acts in this country. Let me share this one with our viewers and with you, Mark. The leader of the opposition, Comrade Aubrey Norton, he did not even register for that cash transfer, what they call cash grant. And you know, a check was prepared for him. A check was prepared in his name and he did not even register. Now, if we were talking all the time about corruption, and they were saying that it's not true, how is it that a man who did not register, you have a check prepared for him? Viewers, I want you to understand that I am positive that there are many more checks that have been prepared for persons who did not register. I know for sure Paul Slow, retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, he did not register. I'm almost certain he did not register, but they got a check for him too. Or maybe he registered and they brought the check to his house. Now we got a 70-plus-year-old woman who can't get her check, but you're bringing check for other people. You're bringing check for other people. I mean, who these people really think they're fooling? Who they really think they're fooling? It is disgusting the way these people are operating. We got corruption at lands and survey. Corruption at Ministry of Housing. CEO resigned with immediate effect. Corruption at Ministry of Health. Corruption in education. We can talk about the education part just now. But corruption is everywhere. And so it means, therefore, that the oil and gas resources, it's not meeting the people. It's not on the tables of persons. You can't see it. All we are seeing, like they said at Babu John on Sunday, friends, favorites, and families. That's where, those are the people who are enjoying the oil resources of this corrupt regime. Mark, we want to talk about what is happening in, we can't bypass the health sector. We have to talk about the health sector. Babies dying. Patients are going there and have to sit all day to be attended to. Is that how we expect to operate in this oil-rich country, in the Dubai of the Caribbean?
I remember when Irfan Ali went to the Middle East and he was given an interview. And the man asked him the question, the fact that the country has oil now, what is he giving the people for oil? He said, I've given them the best primary care. I've given them the best secondary care, given them the best tertiary care. We have cancer services. We have this, we have cardiology services, we have kidney transplant services. But all he was talking is a whole host of garbage, because that's all he talk all the time. When you actually sit down and analyze the health system is archaic at best, and the health system is in a state of depression. Basically, we have the highest neonatal mortality in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have the highest maternal mortality in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have the lowest life expectancy in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have some of the most nourished and malnourished children in Latin America and the Caribbean. How could you speak of a health system where you have all these flaws, where you have all these markers which are used to judge a health system, to assess a health system, to appraise a health system? These markers are showing that we are heading north. We are heading south. So the health sector is in a real deplorable state. We have cases where two patients have to be on one bed. We have cases where the washrooms are in a deplorable state. The washrooms aren't clean. The toilets aren't clean. Sometimes they can't even be flushed. Sometimes patients go to the hospital, they don't have bed sheets. They don't have bed pillows. How could you be talking about a first-class health sector when the health sector is in such a state, in such a state? I saw they have this collaboration with Mount Sinai and Health, and they're hoping to boost the healthcare system in Guyana. Well, well, Mount Sinai is quite an experienced international organization, and I'm quite sure they wouldn't have found a more difficult healthcare system to build up as the one that they have in Guyana. The healthcare system is in a complete mess, a complete mess.
Mark, we saw last week or the week before, we saw an outbreak of the hand, foot, and mouth disease at schools where children would have experienced that at one of the schools on the east coast of Demerara. And you know what? Rather than the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, go out there and create awareness and start saying to parents, look, if you recognize these signs in your children, if you're recognizing these symptoms, then you need to come in and let's start looking at it. They've tried to downplay that. They've tried to downplay that. Operator will show us that slide. They've tried to downplay that. Now I've seen in Region 6, Barbies Educational Institute, BEI, there are students there at that school who have displayed signs and symptoms of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. I mean, we talk about all the monies that would have been allotted to health and to education coming out of this 2025 $1.3 trillion budget. But here is it. This is what our children are experiencing, and these children have to be among their peers. Is it that we want the entire school to contract this? Is it that we want an entire community to contract this disease? Mark, you're the doctor here.
Well, if there's anything PPA is consistent in is in their incompetence. We can go back 4 years during the period of COVID when I had to manage COVID. It totally mismanaged COVID and I had excess deaths. People that are not supposed to die from COVID end up dying from COVID. So they demonstrated without any ambiguity their incompetence. Then now we can move to dengue. Dengue again is a relatively benign condition. Really, it occasionally causes death. Most times it's benign. We open our papers to see that there are large numbers of cases of dengue in Guyana because PPP hadn't addressed the underlying cause, mosquitoes, accumulated waters, and those kind of stuff. So they failed in terms of dengue. Now they have hand, foot, and mouth disease. This condition is very contagious. It is benign. You don't die from hand, foot, and mouth. It's just more or less an inconvenience. But it's very contagious. You would think that once you've identified a group of students with hand, foot, and mouth disease, you would isolate them. But what has been happening is that PPP took 3 weeks before they start to act on it. And by the time they start acting on it, it was spreading. So you have much more kids now being infected with hand, foot, and mouth disease. And what that means, the kids have to be away from school for at least a week. Taking into consideration that during COVID, children lose over 2 years of education, and then now have forcing them to lose an additional week for a condition that is wholly preventable. It is contagious, yes, but it's wholly preventable if you do the necessary stuff of washing your hand, don't go in contact with someone who has the condition, um, the, the, and the necessary steps that you use, that you take to keep yourself clean, basically. But people are just completely clueless. It's a very benign virus called a Coxsackie virus, which causes this hand, foot, and mouth disease. It starts out with a sore throat, and then gradually it evolves into blisters in the mouth, blisters in the hands, and blisters in the foot. Hence the name hand, foot, and mouth disease. And generally lasts for like a week or so. So if people had taken it on board early, they would have been able to address it, and it wouldn't have spread so fast and so quickly and so wide.
I don't know what else to tell these, what else we can do with these people. But viewers, I want to say to you, Mark, if you can just say to our viewers, what are some of the other signs and symptoms that they would notice outside of what happens in the mouth? What are some of the other symptoms that you notice so that parents can be on the lookout, and parents, you're going to advise your children. We are going to have to start using hand sanitizers, put their little hand sanitizers in their bags, and ask them, remind them to wash their hands as often as possible. Or if you have the paper sanitizers, let them walk with that to school so that they can wipe their desk, they can wipe their hands, they can wipe their rulers if they have to borrow a ruler from a friend. I mean, we've got to be careful with our children, lest it comes into our homes and then it goes to the church and then it spreads all over the community.
Yes, absolutely. How it actually presents. It starts just like the flu. Just if you have any flu, you have fever, chills, rigors, and a sore throat. So that's how it actually starts initially. It starts just like the flu, like if you have a simple flu. But what differentiates this one from the flu is that it evolves, and it evolves into blisters. We start seeing blisters on your gum and blisters in your mouth. And these blisters gradually become more extensive, extending towards the hand and the foot. So by the time you have the blisters in your mouth, your hand, and your foot, you know for a fact that you have hand, foot, and mouth disease. But if you have been in contact with someone who has hand, foot, and mouth disease, and you start to show flu-like symptoms, you have to presume that you have hand, foot, and mouth disease until you can prove otherwise.
But I'm almost certain that the health centers in this country that we're having, that they are not equipped as yet to deal with this, because I'm hearing here from the teachers and from parents at this secondary school in Berbice that where the officials are saying to the teachers, you are not health professionals, and so how is it that you're pronouncing on this and you're making these assumptions? You're not health professionals. Now all you should be saying to the people, look, if you think or you suspect this is the case, then call the parents in and allow the children to go to the hospital. Call the hospital and let them know, look, you're going to expect 2 students or 3 students coming there. We suspect A, B, C. But you are ready to shut the teachers down. And that's how they believe that they can always push people out and shut you down, rather than attending to the issues. Now, Mark, we can safely say that the signs of the times are really, really hitting the PPP. They're now clutching at what is not even there. Go ahead, Mark.
Exactly. They are just completely clueless. The teachers have to play a very important role in the control of this of this infection, because obviously the teachers are the ones who will be seeing the children for much more hours compared to parents. So you expect the teacher to play a very important role. Get the parents in. I would probably say just take them home. Don't take them to the hospital, because if you take them to the hospital, you just exposing others there. Exposing others there. Once this confirmed that it's hand, foot, and mouth disease that the person has, you just take it, because it has this characteristic feature of blisters in the hand, blisters in the foot, at the palm, on the sole of the foot, and blisters in the mouth. So it's relatively well recognized. It's not easy to actually miss. So once you have it, the less contact you have with people would be the best for you. But people appear the whole, they're a party of arrogance. They always think that they know. During the time of the COVID, when people were dying left, right, and center, Frank Anthony could have actually turned to get advice from people who know what they were doing. But because of his arrogance, he refuses to seek advice, and people die as a result. I would want to see a COI into COVID, some commission of inquiry into the COVID deaths, because the management of COVID by PPP was a total disaster. Was a total disaster. They were forcing people to use Sputnik V, which came from Russia through a middleman. We don't even know if that's authentic Sputnik V, but that's how PP operates. So it's just sad and unfortunate that they continue to be arrogant. When they had the dengue outbreak, again, their arrogance, the failure to recognize that there'll be people out there who will know a little bit more than you do, get the help from those people, but then again they turned their backs and said, we know all. And now the hand, foot, and mouth disease has started in one school, has spread to other schools, simply because people weren't on the ball. And they don't ever be on the ball, to be honest.
We're gonna have to play we're gonna have to play this video here. I want our viewers to understand what is really happening in this country. I mean, the signs of the times, the signs of the times. I can't help but saying it. We're gonna have to play this video. Operator, if you're ready for us, um, signs of the times. While the operator is trying to get
Mhm.
that video there.
And gentlemen, good
Um,
afternoon. My attention was drawn to a post on Facebook which identified a number of insensitive materials found within one of our textbooks. This textbook is, of course, Guyanese in the world. It's a grade 3 textbook which is used by primary school learners for social studies. As Chief Education Officer, I want to acknowledge the concerns raised by members of the public. As Chief Education Officer, I want to say that the Ministry of Education deeply regrets the offense or the distress that has been caused to parents, to students, to the wider community, and especially to the residents of Chinese Landing. The Ministry of Education has always prided itself on ensuring that we provide high quality, inclusive, culturally sensitive educational material. This is clearly a failure on our quality assurance mechanism. I want to assure members of the public that this error will be fixed. Our quality assurance mechanism will be relooked at in an effort to ensure that this does not happen again. This book will be immediately withdrawn, reviewed, and then reprinted for distribution. Ladies and gentlemen, again, on behalf of the Ministry of Education and as Chief Education Officer, I want to express regret. I want to offer our unconditional apology for the errors which have been found in this book. We acknowledge that the materials are quite insensitive. While it is a scenario that has been presented, there are several other scenarios which could have been used which were not as sensitive as this. And so the Ministry of Education, again, offers its sincerest and unequivocal apology. Thank you very much.
Mark, viewers, um, operator, you're gonna have to. We want you to leave. If you find another picture with the CEO, just put it up there for us. And could we
Let me
have
see.
the insensitive content?
Mm-hmm.
Now here it is. An entire country, our learners across this entire country were issued with textbooks. The grade 3, they were issued with a social studies textbook with very insensitive content in that textbook. Now, how did that reach in the textbook?
But
Don't
it
we
just
have
points.
don't we have proofreaders? I know you always say, Mark, that your friend Priya, she's clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say the rest, but with they are so visionless and they're always very reactive and always trying to show rather than taking their time to do stuff. They always want to prove a point. So during the coalition's term in office, and when LFS Burnham served as president and prime minister and president, he distributed textbooks across this country. So they want to show that we can do this. So they've wiped out all of those textbooks. I don't know if you remember Geography of Guyana that we used to
Yes,
use.
I remember geography.
That's a book
Yeah.
of the past.
Yes.
All the other textbooks they've wiped out. They're creating their own textbooks. So they created the grade 3 textbook, social studies textbook, with incorrect and insensitive information. And now what they have to do is to come and apologize. Now I have two questions that are burning. How much was paid to print that textbook? Who are the publishers that published that textbook? So here we have the page there with that very sensitive information there. Who was the publisher? How much did you pay to publish that textbook? How much is it going to cost you now to reprint? And who should be sanctioned for that?
I mean, the whole thing points towards a lack of quality assurance. Any project that you're doing, you must have an overarching quality assurance to ensure that it is up to standard. And when you actually look at this book, Guyanese in the World, um, grade 3, there are lots and lots of errors, there are grammatical errors. You don't expect errors in a book that uses to teach students spelling errors. The map of Guyana, the internal boundaries for the map of Guyana, the internal boundaries are completely incorrect. They're completely wrong. Completely wrong. And then here again, we have PPP inserting the politics into the textbook, attacking a Toussaint because he was resistant towards an investor coming and taking over their land, their land, and he feels to himself that they should have their land. So they have this narrative in the book where the Toussaint is speaking with another man, and the Toussaint is being identified as a very obstructive person who doesn't want progress. And it's a
They
very sad reality. And the fact of the matter is, it's a case that is going on in court presently. And to actually go and put it in a textbook and try to indoctrinate these children,
Yep.
these young, impressionable children, is very sad and it's very unfortunate. Very sad and very unfortunate. Very sad and very, very unfortunate. And as you said, I would like to ask the very questions that you asked. Who were the publishers? Who was paid to print these books? And how much is going to cost to rectify all these major issues in the book as such? And the book will have to be revamped completely because the kids wouldn't have any confidence in it. They'll just be looking at it as some book that has lots and lots of errors. You don't expect to read. I can remember going to school. We had our school books that we read. Sita Rampat, Sitarampa,
Yes.
those
Uh-huh. The
perfect
Robert
English,
family.
perfect English and perfect spelling to read.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect English, and it wasn't anything racially insensitive, culturally insensitive. Nobody never used to complain about it. But people we feel that they are the gods and they are the kings and they run this country, they run this land. They could do whatever they want to do and they could push the Amerindians around because see that the Amerindians are very quiet people. They aren't very aggressive. So they can push the Amerindians around and bully them to get their lands. And when they don't comply in giving up their lands, they put it in books in the school books.
Well, you see, again, this is showing, and you know what I'm happy about? I'm happy that our indigenous brothers and sisters, they stood up and they rebelled against that. And that's the reason why the CEO came out there with an apology. Now, why do you do foolish things and then you have to apologize after? It's like the gold program. And then we have the Minister of Labor, which we are going to put up there just now. You do foolishness out there, and then you have to offer an apology. And sometimes the apology isn't even worth a cent that they come out there to offer. Why do you think? Why does the PPP feel that they can treat our indigenous brothers and sisters anyhow? And you notice, operator, you're gonna have to pull this one up for us. The kids, the 20 who died in the fire at Madia. They were so very insensitive, this government. Imagine these children are traumatized because they've lost their friends. And then you're parading them all over the place, pulling them out of the hospital, carrying them to the Yomanayana for a night of reflection and got the children screaming all over again. I mean, how insensitive could people be? But you know what? The signs of the times are everywhere. And they are recognizing that persons are no longer taking lightly to what they're saying. Persons are now standing up and speaking out. Those are the 20 who died in that fire there. 20 innocent lives were lost. And I don't care who you talk about, who set fire and who didn't set fire. If you had put the systems in place, then this would not have happened. You were given reports upon reports. You did not act on it. And all of this, I'm going to put at the feet of
Priya Manik-Chan.
Now, when the 20 lost their lives, the government is so cruel that they rush out there to offer these people, the parents. Imagine there was a parent who lost her twin in that fire. And you rush out there to give the people what? $5 million. And tell them that you're taking over the funeral expenses. And then the Attorney General had the audacity to say, we didn't have to do that. But you know what? I noticed recently that the parent of the twin, they are taking them to court. They are and I support them 100%. And I want to say to our viewers out there, if you know when is the court day, go out there and support those parents. It's not even easy to lose one, more so two. And then the government got a whole lot of big talks that they're giving you. These people, this here, the images of these innocent children will continue to rest on the minds of Priya Manik-Chand and our entire colleagues in that cabal. No wonder she said in Parliament, we will not rest. But she talked about something else she should have said. We will not rest until persons are held accountable, including me, which is Priya, for the loss of these lives.
It is very, very sad when those 20 children died. And it just shows the kind of respect that PP has for indigenous people. But if we think that would have been the disrespect and it would have actually stopped there, it didn't stop. They used the remnants from the fire to fill the potholes. How could you do something as insensitive as that? How could you? You don't have to have a PhD to know. You don't have to have a PhD from the gold program to know that taking up debris in there, you could very well be taking up ash of dead people. Using it to fill potholes, that's definitely wrong. But as you said, Priya Manichan has to take total blame because she has overarching responsibility for the Ministry of Education. Those dorm had grills. They were warned. Those grills are a fire hazard. They should have actually moved those grills. Those doors and the grill in the doors, should have actually moved all those grills. And it should have had more than one exit that children could take in the event of a fire. And if Priya was actually thinking, when they had the other fires at North Roosevelt Multilateral School, Northwest School, St. George's, Christchurch, when they had those fires, you would have expected Priya Manchan would have sat back and said, we need to do something about these fires. We need fire alarms, we need smoke alarms, we need water sprinklers and all these things. And if she would have introduced that into that dorm, it is a strong likelihood those kids would have been alive. Kids would have been alive, but PPP is a party that is always reactive. They aren't ever proactive. And as a result of their inactivity, 20 children died. And it's only by a stroke of God that when maize burned down, children weren't in school. Because it burned down very early. It was only by the stroke of God that school wasn't in. Else that would have been another disaster.
You see, Mark, the thing is, all these people are interested in is corruption, more corruption, thieving the money, getting more monies, squeezing the poor people, and having a ball. That's all they're interested in. They are not interested in the welfare of our people. Because if they were, one, you talk about throwing the burnt remains there of the building on the streets to full potholes. But the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education, they were on the scene, walking in between.
Contaminating a crime scene.
And I mean, I was taken aback when I saw the Prime Minister there, because as a military man, he should have known that. But I think Mark has lost his sense of direction. He has lost his credibility. He has lost everything. So all he is doing now as a rubber stamp is just going through the motion. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., going through the motion. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. That's all that is happening to Mark at this time.
And it seems to be a pattern that they have.
Look them there.
Look at the clowns. It seems that they have a pattern. Rupsy Ben turn up at where they had the fire the other day and trying to out the fire. The fireman had to put him to his place.
I know the operator is
going to
play that video for us. And all of these are signs of the times. They're getting so confused that they don't know what they're doing. So here they are on the site of the fire. Fire just happened. All of them rushed down there. As if they can go now to bring those children back to life. As if they can
just come out of our bed.
Crazy people. But we want to talk about this. Since we're on fire, we're going to talk about fire again. We have this young 27-year-old fireman that lost his life. And it was the same thing. Ben and all of them rush out there. All of them rush out there as if they can restore this place, as if they can out the fire. When we have trained personnel out there doing their best with the limited resources that they have. The hose, all kind of holes on the hose leaking like crazy. But here is it, you have these guys doing what they know best to do. But you got a minister who always in the midst of everything. I'm not sure how come. Well, I don't know how come Priya Manik Chand wasn't at Critchlow. She should have been at Critchlow. But here again, it is showing us the two Guyanas. Critchlow was burnt last Saturday, but there was no sign of the Minister of Education. And Critchlow is an educational institute. It offered then, and it continues to offer now a second chance to young people across this country who could not have done what they were supposed to have done in school. It gives this back up to them. But Priya was absent. Robeson Ben turned up there, and let's hear from the fire policeman. Let's hear from that fire policeman. And I really, really do want to compliment that fire policeman. I really, really want to compliment him for taking that stand and allowing people to know that this kind of nonsense got to stop. It must stop. Operator, I don't know if you have it there ready for us. This kind of nonsense must stop. It is disgusting when you have to turn up there and politics, every single thing politics playing in, every single thing. The feeding program, it's politicized. The textbooks, it's politicized. The fire, politicized. The funeral, politicized. Every single thing, the cash grants, the transfers, the checks, politicized. You go to a school that is being commissioned, it's politicized. Every single thing they politicize it, because you know why? The signs of the times are everywhere. They're clutching at straws. They are clutching at straws. I don't know if the operator has that video there to show us.
But the fireman who had to reprimand Robeson Ben is a very brave man. I really admire him. Very brave man. You remind me of the doctor at the Temeri Health Center who called him out in terms of all the things that they don't have.
Yes. And I'm waiting to hear whether this fireman is going to be transferred to somewhere. I'm waiting to hear whether they're going to transfer this fireman, whether they are going to discipline him internally. I'm waiting for that, because it is wrong must be wrong, and we cannot continue to say wrong is right. The Minister of Home Affairs must stand on the outside like everybody else.
Exactly.
And allow the men to do what they have to do.
And it appears that is a pattern of behavior that they have. I remember when I used to work in Guyana, one time some people were shot in a kitty, the bar in Kitty, and they brought them in hospital, but they were people. So they brought them in and we were looking after them. Gadraj, who knows nothing about medicine whatsoever, he won't come put his nasty hand in the people's wound and I had to push his hand away and say, no, leave this to me, I got this. But that's just a show, and he was just going around interfering.
Let's hear from this fire policeman.
Nothing bothering me. It's resting on my mind for the longest while. And from the looks of things, it doesn't look as if it's going to change anytime soon. You know, I've been a member of the Guyana Fire Service for more than a decade. I say. And one thing keep happening for the longest while. That is very much disturbing to the spirit. You know, we get fires all over. In all my years in the fire department, this might very be the first season where you find these fires occurring, and the firefighters are not allowed to do what they're trained to do. You know, and I keep saying from the onset, even to my superiors, and even to those whom I know in the political arena, that people must have respect for other people's jobs. And that's one of the things that I keep saying over and over. There ain't nobody out there that is not a trained firefighter, that don't know anything in terms of dealing with firefighting, is going to come and tell me anything about firefighting. I've never seen Facebook out no fire, YouTube or none of them. Fires will be out on the ground and the way in which we position ourselves. You know, last night I was in Melanie. I just want to show my face around. And the context of some of the conversations that people are having in terms of our method of firefighting, and especially when it comes to the death of the young firefighter, I was drawn back. And I thought it wise that I make this live today. And I don't want nobody calling. See, all them people calling to tell me, but don't talk nothing about fire. So I shut your mouth. I could talk about anybody. I'm a Guyanese one. That's first. Second, I am a trained firefighter. I don't want nobody to call, texting me or calling me, tell me anything. All right. What I say, I can defend anything that I say. Right? And if there are persons who will be aggrieved or feel aggrieved, let them go to the CID headquarters, man. I make the claim, and all of us will have our time or day to challenge whatever. It's come to a point where people must know their work. People must know their work. And people must be allowed to function in the office that they hold. You know. In all my years in the fire department, I've never seen such a stupid thing occurring. Every minute, there's somebody from the ministry coming for do something at the fire service without even having the requisite information, without even fire service recommending, you know, and this thing is bothering me. It is bothering me a lot because it now comes to a point where it interfere with your job. But let me tell you all this particular fireman, I don't question who the person is. Anybody that comes to impede in me executing my duty as a fire officer, they got to be prepared to write that report thereafter. You can't come and jeopardize firefighting because of whatever authority you will. That never happened in the service. And I'm annoyed over it because it keeps occurring over and over again. And fire service is being lambasted by the media and by extension those persons in the country. But none of the media personnel is taking to task that sometimes we can't do what we are supposed to do. If the fire department is allowed to do what it is supposed to do by law, these fires will be extinguished. I am telling you that. I'm not asking you that. I have seen fires that try to dismantle and disrupt and create a conflagration, and we've managed to curtail it with minimum resources. Why is that not possible today? Right? Why is that not possible today? And let me tell you why. First, we got one of the leaders. I know okay. That particular minister that's responsible for fire service. I don't know if he's a madman or he still believes that he can wake up and go out all these fires by himself.
Operator, thank you so much. We're not going to go into the full thing, but I'm happy that the young man there is saying that particular minister, I don't know if he's a madman and he feels that he could out fires.
I think he's a madman because one time he said he could go at the fire and just sniff the fire and he could say exactly who's the arsonist behind it. And he said the arsonist was, when he sniffed the fire, the arsonist was being linked to someone in Manhattan, Mark Benchcup.
That man is crazy.
These guys are just clueless. And because when the firemen are doing their job, the least thing they want to happen, the last thing they want to happen is to be interrupted when you're doing your job. If you want to go and provide moral support, do it from a distance. But you don't have to go get yourself in the fire itself and directing the guys what to do when you weren't trained in that particular area?
Well, news just coming in. The investigating panel finds several systemic failures that would have contributed to injured fireman's death at GPHC. Operator, I don't know if you have that clipping that you could just put it up for us. I mean, it's like what we said the other night, Mark, where you said that the fire policeman did not have to die, the fireman did not have
No,
to die.
he didn't have to
According
die.
and so here we have the panel
Mm-hmm.
finds several, not one, not two, several. Now, do you expect a mother with her only child to accept this kind of nonsense? I mean, this is what is happening in the Dubai of the Caribbean, the country with the fastest growing economy. And you know why this is happening? Because we have been stifling the people at the hospitals, the nurses. We're not paying them. We got 46 patients and we got 3 nurses to man the wards.
Mm-hmm.
We got a whole lot of patients coming in with emergencies, and we got 2 or 3 doctors manning the emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what is going to happen there? They're going to throw one of the doctors and 2 of the nurses under the bus.
Yeah, they're going look for someone to cast the blame on. When you actually look at it, is a systemic failure. It's a systemic failure because it's just failure from the top down. But those at the top wouldn't take responsibility. They shift that responsibility to those down. But that fireman definitely didn't have to die, because if they had a simple things to protect him, cervical collar to put around his neck, put some blocks at the other side and some blocks at the top of his head to make sure that his neck can't move, because you don't want his neck to move. Because if he has a fracture and his neck moved, the bone could actually go injure the spinal cord. And put him on a very hard board to immobilize him. And those things are not exorbitantly expensive. A spinal board is about $300 US. A cervical collar is about $50 US. So you can't tell me the hospital didn't have those, and they didn't know how to use it properly. So it's because they used it improperly that resulted in a guy's death when they were taking him to get an MRI.
I mean, this, and it's not only taking him, but it's the amount of time that elapsed.
Exactly.
Now, my thing is, why is it at the Georgetown Hospital we don't have an MRI machine? Why we don't have one?
Well, that's one of the unanswered questions. They're talking about Georgetown Hospital evolving into a world-class hospital and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they don't have an MRI, and there are lots of things they don't have. But MRI is one of the things that stands out.
You have to go for a CT scan, you have to go to Mercy Hospital. You got to go and do MRI, you got to go to Mercy Hospital. You got to do ABC, you got to run to the private hospitals. Why is it after all of those monies have been allocated to the Ministry of Health, we still can't have some of these equipment, some of these machines at the Georgetown Hospital, at New Amsterdam Hospital, at West Demerara Hospital, and the other regional hospitals? Why is it? Where are the monies going? And Frank Anthony must answer. I would want to agitate the folks now to go and picket Frank Anthony's office. We have been for too long. We are allowing these kinds of nonsense to go down. And then some nurse or some doctor is going to be made the scapegoat. Frank Anthony must answer for this young man's death. The nurses can't buy any machines. You got to buy the machines. You and your PS got to sign off on it.
I mean, the fact is, I have a suspicion it's a business arrangement between the PPP and the private hospitals.
Yes, all the time.
If they have MRI machines at Georgetown Hospital, then I would take away business from the private hospitals.
They can't make
money. So keeping it at the private hospitals only is a way of transferring funds from the government to the private hospitals. And so because it is their friends who run the private hospitals, there's no need for them to put an MRI machine at George Hospital because they will put their own friends out of business.
They would put themselves out of business
Mm.
because they're getting cut back from it. So they would put themselves
Exactly.
out of business. I mean, this guy here must go. He must tender his resignation.
He's supposed to attend.
The Venezuelan woman who went there and lost her baby. And then you want to pressure the nurses, you want to sanction the nurses, you sent home a doctor and withdrew his license. Frank Anthony must go. He is useless.
COVID, I mean, since the management of COVID, I've been arguing that that's a good reason to let him go because his management of COVID was completely clueless. And it was one way it was based on having these political doctors who can tell him what he wants to hear, which inevitably resulted in significant deaths. Over 1,300 people died from COVID in Guyana, the highest per capita in the Caribbean. And that is Frank Anthony's legacy.
Look, you notice all of them got a legacy. Priya got 20 that she going with. How many Frank Anthony got? The whole set of people who died during COVID, and this young fireman now, and the 20. All of these we've got to place at their feet. Incompetence to the highest. Now we're gonna show some other signs of the times. Operative, you have the picture there with those three, the gold people, the three gold people. The three goal experts. I mean,
the three goal bandits.
You notice Obadiah coming out now and talking all kinds of foolishness. Now I hear they're going to sue.
RSDC.
We couldn't find that one sue. Now we're going to sue again. I hope they could find them.
It's just a total disaster. It's a program that came out with good ideas, but then once people get involved in anything, corruption will become involved.
But with bandits who are
with
left
bandits,
there
exactly,
to administer the project. Bandits who were put there to administer.
And as a result, they were saying that the kids are going to Staffordshire University, where in actual fact, the students were being lectured from Jain University of India.
Look,
so it's just
operator, could you make that a little bigger for us to see those faces? I want the viewers to see these three bandits here. I want the viewers to see them when they had no apology, not even an apology to give to the students and to this nation.
1,400.
An embarrassment to this nation again. An embarrassment to this nation. I mean, how do we continue to have these people? And so these are all signs of the times, which is saying to us that the PPP ain't got long more. They ain't got long more. Their days are coming to an end. They ain't got long more. A whole lot of nonsense. Every day you turn around is something. Every day. I can't remember in the life of this country that we would have had so many fires like we had in 4 years. The amount of accidents, road accidents, fatal accidents that we would have had in 4 years. Look at the three there. The two and the one in the middle. Look at them.
The three stooges.
Government cuts ties. You're cutting ties that were never there. Huh?
Yeah, I find it very, very interesting. Staffordshire University came out and say, quite frankly, we have no ties with ISDC, we have no ties with Gold. So how can the government now go and cut ties with Staffordshire University when they already established that they don't have any relationship with you? Any working relationship with you?
It's shame the shame. It's shame the shame. It's shame the shame. That is why they're doing that. That is why they are doing that.
But within all of this, the question that comes to my mind: Why did they have to go to a third party? Why couldn't they just engage the universities and get the students into those universities? Why did they actually feel the need to have a third party? But to me, the third party is where the corruption takes place.
The
If you go
third
directly
parties,
to the
the third
university,
party is them three right there.
exactly,
That's the third party right
third party,
there. Now,
exactly.
some of the questions I want them to answer for us.
Mm.
When who were giving these assignments? Who were the people marking these assignments? Who were the students communicating with when they were having difficulties? Where did you go to see your scores? I want them to publish these things. If you had ties, show us all these things. Show us the marking. Show us that students' assignments were being marked. They got their grades, where the grades were coming from. Show us these things, these three. But we want these three here to show us. Let the people of Guyana see what was happening there. So when you come to tell us that you're cutting ties and now you're going to sue, we have enough. We're seeing information there. No, I don't know where this was happening. Tell us who were some of the lecturers that they were having there. Huh? To show us that indeed you had some connection with these people. But these three are three shameless people. They have no shame.
And they were arguing that 8,000 students graduate from the gold program since it started in 2021. 8,000 graduated.
Well,
378.
Sonia said 14,000. Sonia said 14,000.
Okay.
Now you're telling the students that they could be transferred. I didn't know that they have all of this authority, that the students could be transferred now to any university of their choice. I mean, these people ain't got no shame. Huh? These people think they're talking to stupid people.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like a child in fourth form. Grade 9, grade 10. Many schools don't accept students who are moving from grade 10 to grade 11 because you know what they're saying? They first ask you how many SBAs were done because the teachers now don't have time to go back with you to complete SBAs. We ain't got time to do that. And so, like some viewers are saying, we must lock up the Nigerian because Guyanese couldn't go to Nigeria and do that. We should have him locked up and have the other two locked up too. But I'm coming again to what I was saying. Now, these students that you have here hanging in the balance that were never anywhere, how are you going to transfer them to other universities? The other universities must know where they are, how far they've gone on the program to be able to accept them, and whether you're going to have lecturers who will want to go back with them to complete what they did not do to bring them up. Now, you're doing a couple of things you're doing to the students. You already lied to them. Now you have them there, and you're going to now give them additional work to do with all the time that they would have spent there. You're going to now give them additional work to do because they got to play catch up. I mean, these people don't understand embarrassment.
They definitely don't. They definitely don't. 1,400 kids. 1,400 kids are affected with this whole University of Staffordshire controversy. And I saw they had a list of institutions that the kids can go and register. But the question is whether or not those institutions would recognize what they have done. Well, first they're going to ask, where did you do it? The kids would say University of Staffordshire, but University of Staffordshire is saying no, it's not with them. It's with ISDC, but ISDC is not an accredited university as such. It's just lots and lots of confusion. But a point I want to make: 8,000 graduated from the gold program from 2001 to 2025. I would want to know what work are those people doing? Are those people's certificates, diploma, and degrees recognized? Is it recognized for them to go and find job in the private sector, in the public sector? As a matter of fact, there has 378 people graduated with PhDs Where are these people now? Where are these 378 people with the PhDs? No, is this PhD worth? Is this PhD worth anything? So to me, this whole goal system, it's a very sad day for us. It's a very, very sad day for us. A very sad day for us because back in the days, we used to associate Nigeria with corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And corruption and certificates and corruption, and they send you an email and tell you that how they win 10 million and they want
And
to transfer to
yeah,
your bank account.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of fraud.
Yeah.
And to see a Nigerian gonna come and bring his old trickeries here and use that trickery on us is a very embarrassing, is a very concerning time for us. Because
Well,
nothing can tell me that there's anything clean that's gonna come out of forensic audit. Starbuck News, for example, spoke to Professor Jacob Abadi and asked him for the financial records for gold. He said, "I'll get that for you next week. Next week come, you
we're
ask
still
for it.
waiting.
I'll get it for you next week to see next week, the following week. Okay, write the question. Then I'll give you an answer. The right question and then give an answer. If you respond back, he has to be instructed to provide the answer. He has to wait
To
an
provide the
instruction
yes.
to provide the
Mm-hmm.
answer, and it just shows lack of transparency. Lack of transparency, and it's very, very sad. It's very sad. So anything that PP touches or get involved in end up being corrupted. Ends
Well,
up
you
being
see,
corrupted.
is crook meet crooks.
Mm-hmm.
Crook meet crooks, and so the trickery was well mixed there, but they didn't realize that their hands would have been played out. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that, and so we come to some more. This ship with this cocaine in West Africa. In 1 week we had two.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 week we had two. I mean, where these things, how these things escaping all the kind of security that we got. How these things escaping all the security that we got, all these scanners that we spending so much monies to buy. Huh?
What I can tell you with a great deal of confidence, the cocaine did not belong to a ghetto youth from Old Boys Town. There's a big one cocaine. There's a big one cocaine. And with it being a big one, you would have influence, you would have contacts. His ship wouldn't be scanned. His ship will be getting a free pass until actually reach Amsterdam. When actually decide to give it a good check. But it's a very embarrassing, again, it's very embarrassing for us. Because some people start to associate Ghana as a narco state. All the
Yep,
people for the
again.
past for 23 years, the Americans based on the WikiLeaks characterized our state as a narco state. And slowly but surely we see this coming back. It's definitely coming back. So the question is, who that drugs belong to? Where did it come from? Where did it originated from? And where was the destination? But 43 million in drugs is not, it isn't cheap. It isn't cheap at all.
And I'm hearing that the ship, this is 6.3 tons of cocaine,
Mhm.
not no one 2 grams or whatever, 6.3 tons. You know how much is that? You know how much you're talking about there? I wonder if this was cocaine going out there and monies for campaign coming were supposed to be
Coming
returned.
back.
But when it just get bust, maybe that is why they're so antsy all around the place. Maybe that's why they're so antsy all around the place. Then if we look at another one, we're going to see another picture there with the Minister of Home Affairs, who always meddling in something. The people going to destroy the cocaine. Look, the minister. You can see him just now. Major cocaine halls have been highlighted. And look, the Minister of Home Affairs in the thick of things.
But salt.
I don't know why he always want to be in this. It's like he was saying on Saturday that he was somewhere by Durban Park and they were destroying marijuana and cocaine. He was there when he got the message that Critchlow is on fire. So they dashed down there. They saw the fire engines racing away. And when they made some calls, they recognized that it was there. So we're seeing him here again being featured. Again, we're seeing the Minister of Home Affairs being featured.
We have to investigate. See if he could be starting all these fires.
Well, starting the fires. I wonder if he just connects some packets of these cocaine and marijuana and so on. Because, you know, it's a big thing we saw just last week where 2 police ranks have been placed on close arrest for the disappearance of drugs that was lodged at the police station. So this thing is a big ring. Operator, I think you need to put up that one where we have the Minister of Home Affairs there putting up this thing is a big ring. I remember back in the days when persons' vehicles were pulled in the station, and when you go to uplift your vehicle after, the mirror gone, your tape deck gone, something gone, and the vehicle is lodged in the police station compound. In the police station compound. And so here again we're seeing the minister here meddling again. I don't know what he's doing there and why he has got to be there. I really don't know why he got to be there. But there you got the Minister of Home Affairs again in the thick of things. And you know what I find funny is that the minister is always in the thick of things after the fact. After the fact, he is always there in the thick of thing. He's a firefighter. He's there when they find the drugs. He's there when they're going and burn the drugs. I gotta find out if, you know, and they do these things very secretly. So you're not sure if a vehicle pulling up on the side and a couple of these packets going in that vehicle. You're not sure, and so it leaves one to speculate. But, you know, signs of the times are everywhere. Everything they put their hands on, they get in bust with it. Everything they put their hands on, they get in bust. And so we're moving from the minister from that minister to the next minister, the Minister of Labor. Well, this man mad till he can't mad no more. This man abusing out the Guyanese people and telling them that they can give all the foreigners work. We can give all the foreigners work, whether they got documentation or not. We can give all of them. All of them we can give work. And then he comes 2 days after, he comes back with an apology. I mean, who has really prepared this script for these guys? Who really advised these people?
I think it's the brainless advising the brainless, because all of them are brainless. How could he make statements like they go to all they're interested in is going to Vice Cartel show and they're going to Sprague Benz show
so
and they want to come and walk.
But hold on, who bringing these people? Who giving the permission for these people to come?
Exactly my point.
And it just goes to show how disrespectful these people are. Operator, could you put up the video first where he was speaking? It just goes to show how disrespectful these people could be.
Yeah.
Who bringing Vibes Cartel here? Who had Vibes Cartel here the other day?
Yeah.
No less of a person than the presidents. He had Vibes Cartel entertaining him at State House. Promoting Vibes Cartel rum. When we got Bangs DIH right here, you don't promote Bangs DIH rum. We got our local artists right here. You're not promoting them. I've never seen the president in a meeting with our local artists and talking about what they will do for them. But you bring Vibes Cartel, and then Vibes Cartel will come again for the show. Who giving the permission for these people to come? The Minister of Home Affairs, and he takes his instruction from Barrett Jagdi and the others. And you're cooking curry, you and Vibes Cartel cooking curry chicken, and the dumb of the dumbest talking about people going to Vibes. They're only interested in going to Vibes Cartel and Skeng show and this show and all kind of shit. And then when he's finished, he comes there to apologize. For what? Keep the apology. We don't want it.
He meant everything he said. He totally meant everything he said.
And it's not the first time he's doing it. I mean,
but to see someone in the position he holds making such a statement that the illegal immigrants could come and get work ahead of the citizens of the country. The illegal immigrants are breaking our laws, and to see condoning that in public is very, very concerning.
Mm-hmm.
It's very concerning.
So it leaves one to wonder what else they're doing. And you see why we can't use that list? You see why we
Yes.
can't use that list? Just last week, a young man was telling me last week, no, I think it was Tuesday. He said to me last Thursday, he was at the passport office and he would have counted in excess of 20 Venezuelans because they weren't speaking English. Not even the immigration officers couldn't understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And what they had to do, they pull out the slip to show, look, they come to receive their they come to uplift their passports. Imagine they can't speak English, but they're getting
Mm-hmm.
their passport. But let's listen to this crazy man here.
A lady came to me, Bakewell, you know, the bread people. She came to see me. Actually, all the staff she has now, all the people now baking Bakewell bread that you're eating are from Cuba. You didn't know that, let me tell you. All, actually. Our concern was, Minister, would I get into trouble because of the document issue? My position was, once you pay them and take advantage of them, trust me, you'll get into no trouble. Because we have to eat bread.
Mm-hmm.
You can't wait for the guy in his work who will not come to work. When they go and hang out with Vice Cartel, 2 days they lost. They not come back. They go and sport with Borman, right? You in trouble, no bread gonna bake.
So he is quite happy about that. And then he comes up the next day or two when they put lashes on him to offer an apology, a tasteless apology. Why? How is it that you can have non-nationals in this country without the requisite documents and you're offering them work and you're okay with that? Huh? This man got to be a dunce.
I mean, he's definitely a back of the class dunce because when you actually think about it, who listens to Vice Cartel? Black people. Who listens to Bourbon Boy? Black people. So he's saying black people don't like work. That's what he said. He said they ain't turn up to work.
That's
You
exactly what he's saying.
He's a no fact that black people don't like work. And it's a very, very insultive and insensitive statement for him to have made. But I wouldn't say I'm completely surprised because that's how people operate. They're all brainless and clueless. They don't have a filter between their brain and their mouths. So whatever they think, it just falls out of their mouth like that. Yeah, because black people listen to Vice Cartel. I'm Burma boy. So he's saying they gone in the party and they don't come. But black people are going partying and they don't come. It's just sad.
But you know, I recognize that our time is going so quickly. Yes, and our callers are saying that he's disrespectful to Afro-Guyanese citizens, very disrespectful. And you see, and that's why people call them house slaves and so on all the time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because they really don't understand where they are. They really don't understand where they are. Now, if it were an Indian superstar had come to this country or Indian singer had come to this country, you wouldn't hear any of the PPP ministers making those kinds of statements. But these people
Mm-hmm.
have long lost their pathway. They've
Mm-hmm.
long lost their way. Mark, Hamilton, Todd, Onage Waldron, who they had signing, swearing 2 times, all of them, Jennifer Westford, all of them, they've lost their way. The helicopter crash, we can't know up to now what has happened. The black box, according to Barajagio, the black box disappeared. But I want to say, I want to remind, let me say to our viewers, one man, one woman, and the opposition creating havoc for the PPP. And they're talking about Barajag. They're ready to talk about, oh, we will win the elections, we will win the elections, we will win the elections. But let's look at what is happening here. Let's look at what is happening there. They will win the elections, but look at their reaction here. I mean, it is so crazy. So very crazy. With the way these people are operating, they go out there to Babu John and they talk a plenty. And you know, it's a part of instilling racial hate into their supporters all over again. I remember Barajaglio had said when he was opposition leader, when Granger government, when they come to you, chase them out. Now, they are he was telling his supporters to chase them. Now, his supporters, they are in government, and look what his supporters are doing. Look what his supporters are doing. I mean, one woman, Melly Mel, and I want to thank those persons who keep coming out there every week in support, in solidarity for Melly Mel and all the other women. And we're calling, while we're calling for you to free Melly Mel, we're asking for you to appoint the Chancellor and the Chief Justice who have been acting. Appoint them. Stop treating women badly. Stop abusing these women. We remember the immigration officer, Fiona Harris. And if we didn't make noise about it, she would have been transferred. Well, she was transferred. They revoked the transfer after we made noise about it. These people are a group of hungry, I don't want to say the word that I want to say, but hungry scamps, let me say that. All they're interested is making more and more monies for themselves. They're not interested in the poor and ordinary people. The farmers at Blackbush had to come out there and protest. The farmers at Mahaika came out and protested. The farmers on the Essequibo Coast protested. All these rice farmers are protesting this government. But yet they're telling you, oh, we're going to win the elections. Oh, we're going to win the elections. I was so happy when I saw a former teacher on the Essequibo Coast saying, the minister is a dunce. The Minister of Agriculture is a dunce. He don't know what is happening. He coming to tell us about rice farming. He don't understand anything about rice farming. We coming to tell us about how much for paddy and what is going to happen here. And I was so proud of that former teacher. And you know, he can speak so bold. He was always an outspoken person. But he will speak even more now because he ain't got to go to school for nobody to write him any letter. Operator, are you finding did you find that video there? Those videos that we want you to show? So this was Azurdine in Letterkenny Village on the Quarantine Coast. Azurdine there on the Quarantine Coast. I am hoping that the police officers that they're going to institute a charge of assault on that young man who assaulted the other young man there. Now, here is it. They are scared of Azurdine Mohammed. The same man who they claim to be sanctioned and this and that. Look how they bring out their supporters. They brought their supporters to come and break up the man's meeting. I mean, if you, according to them, they're going to win the 2025 elections convincingly, landslide victory. So why you want to disrupt a one-man army? Why is it that you want to disrupt this one-man army? Why are you bringing out your supporters? And you know what? They forced a whole lot of 10 days workers and threatened them that you must come out there with us and hold up some placards. If not, we are going to take your names off the list. Mark, I don't know what comment you want to make on that.
Well, it is obvious that PPP is scared of Azurdine. And the reason why he's scared is because Azurdine has a way of connecting with the people, has a way of connecting with the masses, and go and hear their concerns and hear their struggles. And on some occasions, you actually help them. They actually build house for them, give them motorbikes, bicycles, different things that they can use to help to uplift themselves both socially and economically. The other thing with Ashudin also is that he's very young and he's not aligned with any political party as such. And people on the whole are disgusted with the establishment, with the ones he saw someone new. And for that reason, he's having a great deal of traction. But Jagdeo recognizing that the power that this guy has, this one man, Ashudin, has, the power that he has over the people, the influence that he has over the people, the respect that he has from the people, has caused Jagdeo many, many sleepless nights as a result. But I don't know if he'll actually go up in the election. That it would be good if he actually go up. But the evidence is pointing towards the fact that he would pull votes on PPP. He'll pull lots of votes on PPP. And that's why they're worried.
People are fed up. We will take a look at another one. I know quite a lot of our time would have been gone. So we'll take a look at this last one before we go out. We're going to take a look at this one. I mean, these are all signs of the time, and the PPP, they're running scared. They are running scared. I remember at the 10 days workers, they're instilling so much fear in those 10 days workers that whether you're Afro-Guyanese or Indo-Guyanese, you have to put on the red t-shirt that they give to you, and then they transport you here and there just to show that they have a large crowd following them, when in actual fact it is not so. And then what is disgusting too is that when you look around some areas, like I tell folks, you travel this country, you would know the ordinary people where they live. People are fed up with the nonsense. You go to, when you pass Afro-Guyanese communities, you would see it. There's a distinction. In their support base, you see well-pitched roads. In their non-support base, in where they have non-support, you see concrete strips. Concrete strips where it's not their support base. But in their support base, well-pitched roads, all the little streets in some of those villages. Well done. When we're not finding cocaine, we got the electricity poles falling down. Signs of the times. Incompetence to the max. When it's not that, is the minister deciding how the firemen must extinguish the fires. When it's not that, it's the bees in the schools. Now we got hand, mouth, and foot disease, or foot, mouth, and hand, or mouth, foot, and hand, foot, and mouth disease, kicking and having church. And then we got the fire policeman. I know the chief fire policeman. He's about 58 years old. We always going extra. Now you got Hickens there, who you would have confirmed after his retirement. Now you got the fire chief, who's about 58 years old, and still the fire chief. All he is doing is blocking other young people from being elevated to the top. I mean, what is wrong with these people here? And the fire police, the firemen, they are so demoralized. And that's why you see sometimes some of them don't turn up to work, because I am here and I'm expecting that after a certain time, I'm going to move from one stage to the next. But here is it, we got a 58-year-old man still sitting there as the fire chief, blocking everybody else. Now, people's ages are not stagnant. People age going all the time. So you can very well find somebody who's a deputy, will never be confirmed as the fire chief, because by the time they're ready to take the fire chief off, you reach 55 and they're going to confirm you. But it's all about friends, families, and favorites again. That's what it's all about. Operator, I don't know if you have that clip there that we would want you to play, that last clip there that we would want you to play. Yes, it's all about friends, families, and favorites. Who you can get to stoop for you and to do this and to do that Yes, once you get them to say yes, 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 oh man, you're in bed with them. Once you get them to say yes, 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 the cocaine passing. Once you get them to say yes, 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 wrong pictures, wrong spelling, wrong everything in the textbooks, and you print it gone. Then you have to pull back and reprint. Once you can say yes, 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 and be able to siphon off some monies and give them, then you're allowed to run a gold program with a university and a second hand or a third hand man that never existed. I mean, it's crazy.
So in Guyana.
And this is Guyana, but the signs of the PPP's crumble is everywhere. Not taking nonsense now. I remember hearing through one of the same confusion there with the Mohammed boy, where a woman was saying, I am 51 years old, I never voted, but I will vote this time, and I'm not voting for the PPP. So it is saying that people fed up, people tired of the nonsense. I don't know if operator has that one there that he would want us to see, but I really want our viewers to hear this last one before we go out. People must know what is happening. They must know the crooks that we're dealing with. They tell you one thing, but they do the complete opposite. When Barajagio was leader of the opposition, he knew every single thing right. He was fighting for clean voters list and for biometrics. Now he's vice president, because he can't be vice president because we don't have any vice president without a portfolio. To be vice president, you must be a minister. He's not a minister, so he's a vice president. Now he knows that the time is too short. We listen to this one.
19 and 2020, I used to protect them. They were so scared. Yes, I used to take the trouble. My men used to protect them. I just found that get no fear. If the one guy will come in his course, you're going to get to follow them. You understand me? But then, I got a lot of things to talk, When the right thing comes, yeah, you got the right thing comes. You're going to test a lot. You got the time to get the election.
Well, you notice, I am waiting to hear those things. They were so scared that this very man, he used to send his men to protect them. And it was the people, these very people, their vehicle that the president was driving around in when he was sworn in as president, the very Mohammed's vehicle he was driving around with when he was sworn in as president. But now, you know that the people got sanctioned, and anybody who go and take out pictures with them would be sanctioned. But yet, after they were sanctioned, the government continued to do business with them.
21 million.
Is the hypocrisy for me. The hypocrisy, and like persons would say, if hypocrisy was a person, it would have been the entire PPP cabal. Mark, I want to thank you, and I want to thank our viewers for being here with us. And we'll take your closing remarks, Mark.
My closing remarks
seemed as if we're having some bits of troubles there. Okay.
I have to stress the fact that his death is down to negligence. Negligence from the top to the bottom, an entire systemic failure. I have to stress the fact that if Georgian Hospital was focused on the basics, this young man could have been alive today.
And many more.
And many more. I read in the papers that how the report is out, and I would hope that the installed government would make the report public, because it's very important that people know exactly what transpired. It should not be a secret. I can predict when that report comes out, it's going to be very damaging to many people. But at the end of the day, people will look at the weakest link and put the blame on the weakest link, while those higher up, who are completely responsible for it, wouldn't face a day of judgment. That's very sad and unfortunate. Very sad and unfortunate. Very, very sad. One of the things
it's the same very thing that is. Go ahead, Mark.
One of the things I noticed, maybe that I missed it. They didn't do a post-mortem for him. I would have wanted to see what the post-mortem would have actually shown. But I can't recall reading about a post-mortem in the papers, so I don't know if they've done one.
Yes, they did a post-mortem, but I'm not sure what the report is. They did a post-mortem. I think it would have been Monday. I think it was Monday they did a post-mortem.
It was in the papers?
No, it was not in the papers. I learned through his family members.
Okay.
But you see, here again, you know exactly what will be written there. It's a cover-up story.
A cover-up, yeah,
cover-up story. A cover-up story is going to be posted there. And so, again, this is how we value the lives of our servicemen and women. You remember the boys, the GDF boys? The canoe boat that they're in? And all them monies were the army collecting. The army chief must tell us where they're putting these monies, you know. Who collecting these monies, how these monies are spent. They must tell us that. They allow 5 generals to go up in a foolish helicopter. In a foolish helicopter. And we don't know what happened. 5 lives have been lost. And so I'm hearing that they what the thing name? I am hearing that the pathologist, I don't know, but it is alleged that the pathologist tried to save the hospital with a fictitious cause of death. He tried to save the hospital. And so here is it. We got the bandits here, the bandits there, all over you got them. Yes, because he probably getting a good pay. Probably getting a good pay. But Guyanese folks, you must understand that the time is now. The time is now, and for Guyana to grow, the PPP got to go. For Guyana to grow, the PPP must go. They're no good for Guyana. No good. So here is a mother losing her only child. And the mother was there. If you listen to her, she would tell you there was a whole interview that she did where she talked about the treatment that her son received. Now, they put a fictitious cause of death on the death certificate, and that mother has got to live with that. Viewers, I want to thank you for being here with us. Without you, we'll have no advance in the cause. But just remember, the signs of the times are everywhere. Listen out for that date for elections. Ensure that your family and your friends and your neighbors and everybody, they go unregistered so that they can go out there and vote. Put your X boldly there. Not against the COP, not against the PPP. Vote them out. Do be careful on the roadways. Do look out for signs and symptoms of the hand, foot, and mouth disease, or the hand, mouth, and foot disease. Do look out for whether you're going to have. I notice again. This is another one. Load shedding is a thing of the when we thought it was a thing of the past, it's a thing of the present, very, very present. And of course, let me remind us that the government must tell us about that blue building on Duncan Street, who that building belonged to, that the Campbellville Health Center has been given a spot there and how much they're renting it for. The government, the Minister of Health must tell us that. Do take care. Remember, we are one people, one nation with one destiny, not no one Guyana. And I forgot to talk about that passport with the one Guyana mark on it. Mark Irfan Ali, we will have him walk the streets for that kind of foolishness that he putting in a passport. I don't want no passport with no one Guyana mark on it. I don't embrace no one Guyana because we don't have one Guyana. So don't give me any document to weigh me down. When did you have the consultation to decide what you want to put on my passport? Y'all better get it right, you know. Folks, I think we will have to hit the streets. And we will have to be at strategic locations to let these people understand that gone are the days when you can push foolishness down our throat. But this is all for now that we have tonight. Do be good. I know Sherrod is going to be in there if he is not already kicked in. And so let's listen to what Sherrod has got to say. Be good. Stay well. We love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.